gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Titans Talk Show. Once again, we have somebody very interesting from Singapore this time, not very far away from Dubai. Lovely airports. Dubai models itself on some of the Singapore best practices. Welcome, Arvind, to the show. Lovely having you.
Thank you.
So, what we will do today is we will talk a little bit of technology and we will also dig a little bit into the post-technology era or post-digital era, as Arvind likes to call it, finding out whether CIO is going to be alive or we're going to be without jobs and what are we going to be cleaning utensils after this and all of that. But just to tell you a little bit, Arvind has spent about over 2 decades in IT, most of it with a very large FMCG company called Procter & Gamble, and I share an alumni with him. And he's now with Prudential in the financial services space. So welcome, Arvind. And,
thank you.
First question to you, how's Singapore?
Singapore is fabulous. Yeah. Terrific, yes.
You've been all over. You've been in Manila, you've been in the US, you've been in Singapore. Which country would you pick to stay?
That is a very tough question. I think each of them I've enjoyed immensely, and each have their own advantages. So what we like in Singapore a lot is it's a microcosm. It's very diverse, and it's very progressive. So it's a great place to be that way.
Singapore is a role model for a lot of things, and so is PNG. PNG has been really been the school, the college of your professional career. I can say the same about me. You moved from PNG to Prudential. I wouldn't ask you how was the shift. I'll ask you how was life being in Prudential now.
So I think the two companies could not be more different.
Yeah, I thought so. And I'm glad you said that.
And that's been the real fun part of it, actually, the experience. So PNG, as you know as well, is a very large company, lots of business units, geographical spread, but it's run very, very tightly. It's very standardized, globally scaled, everything runs the same way, consistency is fabulous. Alignment is great. Once a decision gets made, it gets executed, no questions asked. Prudential in many ways is quite the opposite, and it's not good or bad, but it's a very federated model. So every country runs completely independently. So while in PNG I was a global CIO for a global business unit, the reality was that every service that business unit used was run as a globally scaled service, and therefore it was a matrix structure.
Okay.
Whereas in Prudential, everything is locally run. So everything from buying which PCs do we buy to how do we run the back-end systems to what front-end data analytics, everything is locally done. So very different in that sense.
And obviously the pace in PNG is very fast, right? It's an FMCG, and that's my experience. I've spent my life in it. Did that get did you have to move to a slower car after you?
Actually, quite the opposite.
Really?
I thought that PNG is fast-paced.
Yeah.
It is fast-paced, no doubt about that. But I think in financial services, the model is even more extreme. Really? And the biggest aha for me really was that while in an FMCG company, the reality still is that is technology supports many of the business processes. But the one key difference I noticed in financial services, actually technology is the product, right? So therefore, everything that needs to happen, whether it touches the product or the consumer or go to market or back-end operations, is actually technology oriented. So the book of work is dramatically bigger in that sense. And therefore, everything is dependent. And if the technology doesn't go well, it doesn't go to market essentially. So in that sense, it's a lot more fast-paced.
Why do you think Prudential hired you, apart from your impeccable credentials? You are with an FMCG background. So what was there any connection there?
So yeah, to an extent, the reality is that in financial services and insurance in particular, around the time when I joined Prudential, a lot of change was starting to happen. And the leadership was looking for a fresh perspective, which was kind of at that time hard to find from within the industry. And that's what made this happen.
So are there times when you actually, and I was saying this in my talk earlier, are there times when you actually tell them, listen guys, I've done this in PNG, it works. You have conversations like that with your bosses?
I had the urge to do that very often, but I know from experience that that's not the right approach.
Right.
So because every business is different. And just because it worked in PNG doesn't mean it's going to work here. So there's a lot of transferable knowledge and skills and experience that you bring in, but I learned very early on that you have to look at the situation as it is here, what's relevant, what makes sense, and do what makes sense.
Where's technology going in the financial services space, at least in your industry? Where do you see it going, and and connected to that is, you can answer both at the same time. How are the consumer, and you are a B2C company, right? So how are consumer expectations evolving as well?
So one clarification, insurance is a B2B2C business. Actually, it's
both,
not
right?
that different. Well, traditionally it's a B2B2C business.
Okay.
So, and it's not that different from FMCG in that sense. Both are manufacturers, they operate through intermediaries in
Okay.
either
You mean like
banks,
distributors you have? Yeah.
or agents who are independent agents
Correct.
actually, and to the customer. So in that sense, it is a
Okay, so it's a
similar,
B2B, yeah, okay.
it is a B2B2C.
Right.
Now, what is happening though to your question is there are a few mega trends in financial services and insurance in particular. People are living longer. There are costs of healthcare is going up, and people are gaining a lot more financial literacy than they ever had in the past. And these mega trends are completely going to disrupt insurance and financial services in general. So these were some of the mega trends that were also driving the change for Prudential. And I mean, you can go into some of the details, but think of it this way. As people are living longer and have access to more healthcare, the mortality risk changes. And it's not the same thing as it was in the past when if something goes wrong, your family gets impacted very significantly.
Correct.
Healthcare is moving from diagnosis and post-diagnosis treatment to predictive healthcare, where even before something happens to an individual, you can sense it and do things to mitigate it or stop it altogether. These are going to be very significant changes in the business.
Which brings me to my next question. In terms of in terms of the consumer taste, let's say you jump into technology, you've spent a lot of money and you've got this whole platform ready, and then suddenly the consumer taste has evolved. How do you make the change, or how do you convince your board to actually pump more money into?
So one of the things that we confronted early on in our transformation was exactly the point you're making, which is the transformation is not to get to a certain end point.
Right.
It is to move to a more adaptive organization. Realizing that more and more consumer preferences are changing faster and faster, and you're constantly chasing it or shaping it, preferably shaping it. That's part of the DNA that we built at Prudential now.
Digitization, everybody's doing transformation. I'm not going to talk to you about that. We'll dive into post-digitization. Will you have a job? Let's say you're digitizing.
A very different job.
Tell us about it.
So
Let's say 2021, you're done, you're digital, you're done, and you had a coffee and have gone home. 31st of December, 1st January, you come back.
So in my view, I look at any organization. It's not just any particular one. Essentially has three phases when it comes to this aspect. There's a pre-digital, digitizing, and post-digital. Okay. Now, you never stop digitizing really, or transforming, but for simplicity's sake. And the key difference is not how much technology you use actually. It is, are your business leaders, have they become digital natives or not? And what I mean by that is, in a pre-digital world, the CIO effectively acts as the interpreter and protects the business leaders from the complexity of technology. Okay. In a post-digital world, business leaders have a very intimate understanding of technology, what it can do, its benefits, its challenges, etc. Right? Think of it this way. A pre-digital, post-digital company, a traditional retailer, let's say call it a Walmart or Tesco, although those are all digitizing companies, are pre-digital. Amazon, although we call it a technology company, is actually a retailer, but it's a post-digital retailer. Business leaders in Amazon don't need an interpreter or somebody who protects them from the complexity of technology. So to me, a post-digital insurance company is one where the CEO, the product manager, the distribution leaders are all digital natives. In that world, technology will still play a very important role. Right. But the role will be dramatically different. The role of the CIO, actually, I don't even think it's necessarily called a CIO. Right. It'll be more of a CTO role, a technology leader. And we talk a lot about, although we always talk about, and even in this forum we talked today and yesterday about, hey, we need to build business skills. That's critically important, but I think it'll be even more important in that world to build technology skills. Both will become super important, because you're not no longer protecting the business from technology. You're actually enabling them to leverage it faster and faster.
It's nice to see CIOs and CTOs in the future talk about people and how they pride themselves on the fact that they build great organizations. I would take these two things away, and if I can build an organization around good people and curious people, I would take that, and that's what I believe can take an organization to the next level. So thank you very much, Arvind, for coming on the show.
Thank you, pleasure.
Great talking to you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.